everyone. I'm Joel Baird, the General Manager of Missoula Community Access Television, inviting you to another edition of What's Up Missoula. In this version of What's Up Missoula, we're going to talk about Missoula Aging Services and their Foster Grandparent Program. And to that end, there are some foster grandparents in the studio, as well as Vicky Bostick, who is the volunteer coordinator for Missoula Aging Services. So to introduce the crowd, I have on my far left, Ann Thompson is here. She's been a foster grandparent. So has Helen Hansen, who's right next to me. Vicky is right next to me on my right. And on the far end, on the far right, who would have thought? Johnna Rhein. Johnna, thank you. Helen and Ann, thank you all for coming. Well, Vicky, the first question goes to you. And part of the reason we're making this program is so that people out there in the TV land could learn a little more about the Foster Grandparent Program. Either it's going to be from the perspective of saying, and as well they should, isn't Missoula Aging Services great?
Yes.
Because it's pretty great. And another thing we want people to think about is, does the Foster Grandparent Program sound right for them? And your first response is going to be to tell people right about some of the benefits of becoming a foster grandparent.
Yes, and I'd like to start by letting them know that Senior Corps, which our foster grandparents happen to have shirts on that say Senior Corps, is part of a group that includes RSVP, senior companions, and the foster grandparents. Mm-hmm. And they're all adults, 55 or older. And then to the foster grandparents itself, it is adults that would like to maybe earn a stipend. There's a stipend of about $225 a month for volunteering 20 hours a week, and a wonderful opportunity to help the children. They receive other benefits as well. They receive a mileage stipend, a mileage reimbursement,
right,
and the opportunity to get more training. And they also get to get in the community and maybe meet some new people and do some wonderful things. And then probably the biggest benefit is just knowing how much help they are to the children and the community.
Yeah.
And so we are always actively looking. Of course, this time of year, getting ready for school, is really a busy time for us to place as many grandparents as we can.
Right. And the schools always need personnel. I mean, from our point of view, too, I was telling you before we started the show that MCAT has done summer camps for the last 5 or 6 years. It's just wonderful, according to the counselors, to have just someone on hand, another warm, caring body, if you will, to help the kids get acclimated to the project and so on. But I assume other people can address like what they do within the program.
Right. But you know, that's what we find. In fact, you mentioned Karen Allen, a past principal and now works in the district as well on another level. She said, you know, I can hire teachers to do the reading and the math and to teach the children, but that intergenerational experience, to have that social aspect, to maybe have someone just listen to just them, or for them to be able to tell them a story, that is just immeasurable, and that's something that they can't do as a teacher probably most of the time. They're just too busy doing what they have to do. So.
And I like the idea, you know, I often think it's sad that school seems so cut off from the rest of the culture. As the culture gets more and more advanced technologically, we seem to come up with places for everyone. Like, here's where the older people go. Oh, and then if you're middle class with families, this is where you go. And then everyone's in this slot, and the school sometimes seem like it has less interaction with the community.
Well, and then on as well, I would like to mention that not only is it school, but there are some nonprofit daycares, Head Start, and we do help from preschool all the way through high school. We've had in the past some foster grandpas that had building skills or small engines, and they would be in the high school helping. And what a wonderful, teachers would tell me that made such a difference, because those at-risk students were the ones that probably would be the first to go if there had not been another set of eyes and ears and hands to help them.
Right.
Just a great opportunity.
And I don't know, I mean, you guys can chime in and say what your experience is, but maybe sometimes people that have trouble in school don't like authority figures. You know, there's just something about authority figures. Maybe it comes from the parents or whatever. And maybe foster grandparents aren't seen as strict or as official, you know, as the man or the woman, as over the case may be. I don't know. But you've had some statistics here how that $225 stipend could help people.
Every year we do a survey with our foster grandparents and our senior companions for that matter. And I'm not going to sit here and read each of the statistics, but really I can tell you that it's 84% or above that our particular foster grandparents tell us what a difference it's made for them, either in helping them with buying healthier foods, helping with their health care purchases, transportation, maybe just a chance to enrich. And all of them, 97% say the difference it's made in their life is immeasurable. And then I would like each of the foster grandparents to speak to that a little bit.
Right. Like, do you really like it? Or do they just make you do it?
No, I'm always glad to talk about my kids, but
Okay.
I didn't come into this program for like the stopping. I come because myself. I had lost a lot of my family members, and I was really depressed and sad, and that's why I come. And it has just changed my world.
And where do you work when you are a foster grandparent?
I work directly with my students. I go in and you want me to tell you
At
why?
what school, though?
Oh, at Hawthorne School.
Oh, at
How
Hawthorne.
Hawthorne? How old are the kids there?
Third grade.
Okay.
They're, I think, about from 8 to 10, I think. Just a bundle of joy every day. What else would you like to know?
You do it 20 hours a week. Does that mean you go 5 4-hour sessions?
I do 4 hours a day, 5 days a week,
Yeah. So you
That's
have
good.
that continuity and all through the school year.
all through the school year.
Huh.
And I love that.
Yeah.
Well, just talking about that, for me personally, when I retired from nursing after many years, I was so interested in doing something because retirement was fun, but it was getting not quite as much fun.
You're getting too bored.
I
and you're
was getting a little bored.
And you feel like, oh, I'm a little isolated from the culture. Like I used to go out to work, see all these people, whether you wanted to or not.
Exactly.
And you didn't have to.
I was volunteering at Paxton School, and one of the teachers on my second year of volunteering said you could be a foster grandparent and get a stipend doing exactly what you do. I've sort of gotten into a niche working with some first graders, second graders, third graders mostly, helping them with reading and having fun, just sort of doing it in a different way. Because I'm a grandma, I'm not a teacher, I have no...
So are you kind of like a teacher's assistant? Does a teacher say, well, we're going to do this, and Johnna, if you could help, whatever, they say something to do, and you kind of do it.
Exactly. Similarly, they really show us what to do and give us, a boundary or something to work within. And then after a while, after we're acclimated and comfortable and the kids know us, then what we do is sometimes we work with little groups. And Helen and I together work at Paxton School, and we work with the reading groups specifically, moving from, just boring reading to suddenly they're reading with enthusiasm. I make them read with accents. I make them, the kids are really enthusiastic and have fun with it. And it fills that spot that the teachers don't have that time because the classrooms are fairly large.
But one thing I'd just like to add to that, when you say assistant, I don't want anyone to think that they're there to help make bulletin boards or take children to,
Right,
to
you
the
don't
bathroom.
have to do the grunt work.
No, they get to do the fun things. The program's goal is to be one-on-one with children. So they might be doing any myriad of things, which, like Johnna said, with some directions, but only, like you said, the fun things. They're not there to be the assistant that's making copies.
Yeah, some of the time I work in the library, but I don't just shelve books. A lot of times they come and ask if I can help them find a book because the librarian is busy doing other things. So I take them and show them where the particular book is they want, or kind of suggest things to them. So it's a variety of aid. It's a big variety. But no, we don't cut out figures or correct papers or
Right.
anything like
It's a
that.
social sort of
Yeah,
activity,
Well, it really is,
too.
because the kids are like, Grandma,
Yeah.
that's right. They're just very appreciative.
Right.
And the teachers, of course, the principals,
They're probably happy
love
to
us.
see you there. Yeah.
Yes, they really are. But it's just so much fun and gratifying.
Yeah, I had one experience to show how gratifying it is. The principal called me in one year, and there was a third grade boy that was having trouble reading, and she asked if I would sit with him each day and help him with his reading because his score was low, and in third grade it's very critical that they get those scores up so that they're all on the same level. And so by the end of the year, after reading with him every day, the principal called me in and showed me the increase in his score and said, you know, without that one-on-one attention, he probably wouldn't have been as successful, and it makes you feel so good.
That's got to be pretty
Oh,
gratifying.
it is. It really is.
And it bounces their confidence, pardon
Mm-hmm.
me, right up too. Then the kids just excel or at least do better in so many other areas, to include socially, because that's a big thing. Too.
Oh, sure. That's what a lot of kids are learning, right?
I have a child, no, I'm too old. I have a grandchild with Asperger's, and so I'm comfortable with Asperger's and children with some emotional issues or behavioral.
Sure.
And so often I get to work with them, and, you know, one-on-one, often those kids are, and it's just fun, and the children are so receptive. And with a little bit of background that I have, I'm able to at least speak the language.
Yeah. So you
And-
get a window on kids too,
Right.
right?
Oh, yeah.
And didn't you have an experience somewhat like Helen was talking about, that one-on-one with a child where it made such a difference?
Oh, well, lots of them.
Yeah, I know,
one in
but there was-
particular, the teacher, the special ed teacher, had asked me to come, asked if I would come and sit 10 minutes a day with a special child that was not able to bond with anyone. And she thought maybe he would bond with me. And I know that people would say, well, what's 10 minutes? But when you can get into the world and you can see such a drastic change for just 10 minutes, then for you, that there's no price tag on how that makes you feel. But I have a lot of that with my kids. I have a routine with my kids, and every day I start out with their homework, and they, excuse me, and if the children that have support at home, they do well, but the ones that don't, then they need a lot of help, and that's where I come in. I help them with that, and I do my math the same way.
Yeah.
And then I have 5 children that are below the reading level, and so I work every day with them to learn new words and how to pronounce them. So it's exciting all over the place, and just the pleasure that you get from tying a shoe, helping them tie their shoes, or little things like that, or sewing, stitching a child's jacket that was torn, and just see the response that they are. Or a child that has was having problems with his multiplication, and just see the light come on for him. You know, you just can't imagine how that can make you feel.
Well, Vicky, if people want to get involved, let's just say we've convinced them, just a few people, right? They watch it and they're like, well, you know, this actually sounds pretty good. I see they put up your contact number so they can call and they would ask for you at the switchboard at Missoula Aging Services.
Well, I see that the wrong information got put up. The first
Okay.
person that came through is a foster grandparent. And
So is it somebody's home phone number?
Yes, sorry to say. But I can give you the
What
correct
number?
information.
Scott will type it in.
Okay, 728-7682.
728-7682.
And if they call that number, that's the office, and even mention anything to do with volunteering,
Yeah.
and they will get to myself or one of my team members. And then I do most of the interviewing for foster grandparent, senior companion.
So you're vetting them. I don't know where that word came from. So I always think like people going to the veterinarian. So they go there. Oh, and Scott put the number up for folks at home.
Yes.
728-7682.
Yes.
And ask for Vicky.
And there also is always our website as well. If they can always even actually get the application off the website. And that's so easy to remember because that's just MissoulaAgingServices.org.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's all
that's
one
it.
string.
Right.
And I always say Google it.
Yes.
You know, sometimes people are very specific, but they have that search bar.
Right.
You know, just put in Missoula Aging Services, you're going to get there.
But then from
so
that
they
point-
can get the application and
Yes,
look at it.
they
I mean, is
actually
it
can.
intimidating? Did you guys feel scared to apply?
No.
No.
Okay.
Well, I had always thought that when I retired that I would be a foster grandparent because I've always worked with children, but I just postponed it. And I think we just don't know maybe what is going to be expected of us, and so that's until
That
you
may
go.
stop some people and say, well, I don't know. What if I'm rejected? What if I'm not good enough?
Well, I'll tell you what, I very seldom, and I think this group and all the others can, I very seldom find that. We say that ordinary people are the most extraordinary grandparents. And that's truly the case, because we want people from every walk of life, every level, of help that they can give. There is the income eligibility, but that's one of those things that there's just no real definitive line. There are some things that get taken away from that. So it is designed for lower income adults, but it's something that's much easier for me to explain one-on-one, so we don't ever get into that. But just people who are willing to serve. We do need that 20 hours a week approximately, and there's a really good reason for it. Not only is the program designed for it because of the stipend, but also the children, as these three sitting here can tell you, they become reliant on that grandparent. And when you're not in that classroom, it's just really a continuity issue that becomes, hard for them. So, I mean, granted, they have vacations and they have time off, and
Yeah,
they
they
can be
do.
ill. But yes, they do. In fact, that's one of the.
You got a big winter break in there.
Yes.
The whole Thanksgiving weekend.
Well, and besides the stipend, there's also excess liability insurance while they're serving.
Very
and
good.
then they also receive 9 paid leave hours every month. That's Missoula Aging Services gives to them as a
Nice.
bonus. So they can save those up and use them in the summer, or go do fun summer programs like, MCATs or
Yeah, that's right.
working
It's a
with
lark
Flagship.
Here. They got to roll up their sleeves for the school year and then have a good time here, or Flagship or so on.
Or reading programs. So there are a few things that go on in the summer too, but the continuity for that school year especially is really necessary.
So people can go to MissoulaAgingServices.org, look at that application, and see if it's for them. It has some of the income eligibility, or you say it's better just talk to you about that. Don't
Right.
worry about it. Don't let it get in your way and say, oh, maybe I make too much money, and they'll say no or whatever.
And if they did make too much money and they still would really like to help, RSVP is a wonderful opportunity. 55 or older, that is really the only criteria that really becomes important, because they are senior core programs. But otherwise, we have wonderful volunteers who do not receive the stipend. I think we have 55 in the schools right now that do 1 or 2 hours a week. And here again, that is just a wonderful blessing for a teacher who maybe doesn't have the opportunity to have one of the grandparents in their classroom all year, but having someone come in 1 or 2 hours a week is awesome.
Because now in the press, you often hear how teachers are using more and more of their own money, as the budgets have shrunk. And they say, well, there's no chemistry kit, or there's no arts, or there's less art supplies and so on, that teachers are putting out $400, $500. My niece, I think she spent $1,200 on stuff for her classroom because, it becomes that combination, I guess, where you really want it, right? You think this would be so great if they only had this, and they learn they can't get it through school channels, so they go out and buy it anyway. So somebody volunteering to come in from the community must be a little drop of rain in a forest fire.
Well, last year, the 41 grandparents that we had were able to help 423 students. And of that group, 59, it started out, I think there were 96% were able to make huge gains throughout the year and make a difference. But of that, 59% were able to get to grade level by the end of the year.
Oh, see,
and
that's great.
when you're struggling with math and reading and all the other different things, that's huge.
Oh, yeah.
I struggle with math, so I only work with
Me too. I went as far as algebra, and I was like, no more of this. And now, of course, I'm sorry I did, because I read things about physics or whatever, and I don't understand a word.
But when you say that, probably the biggest question I get from people when I sit down with them is, but what if I don't know how to do their math?
Oh,
what if I don't know
yeah.
how to do?
That's true.
And for a couple of things. One, we help you get to the grade level you'd like, or preschool or daycare. I mean, I've had people come in and say, I just want to hold babies. And that's what we strive to have them do, is
really
just hold
sweet.
babies. Or, maybe they want to help at that level, but we have so many different levels and abilities, and it's preschool through high school. Head
Oh,
Start
so people
and
they
daycares.
sort of choose the age group? Because I know some people say, well, I love this age. You know, after 12, they're snotty and I don't like them. Or other
Mm-hmm.
people say, oh, younger kids bore me. I want those.
Yes, yes. We
Okay.
really
You know,
tried very hard.
Sorry.
Go.
I was just going to say that Missoula Aging Services in Missoula for people 55 and over, it's like a retired person walking into their own Disneyland because they've got a choice for
There's so many
everybody.
things.
And it's fun, it's enlightening, it's rewarding for the person. We just don't help people, it's a reward for us too. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I'm telling you, it is the greatest reward when you have helped someone. You know, like if they're struggling and you know that they're never going to get it unless you really, really work with them. And then to just see the light come on, I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
And they are, but I'm really thrilled. And I think they expect us to help them because the teacher says, go ask grandma, go tell grandma. And I don't know how it is in other places, but in mine it becomes a real stopping point for them,
Yeah.
is to come to me, and I want to be able to help them.
And Joel, along the line of what Helen just said, I am very proud to work with Aging Services, not only for what we do with our programs, but here again, all the other benefits of the Elder Services and Resource Center. They have so many availabilities to answer questions, help with anything that comes up. I mean, truly, if you have a question, there is an answer for how to go about it, right?
Well, another example is my prescription insurance. I knew I was paying too much, but I didn't quite know
Oh,
how.
it's so confusing. I mean,
Yeah.
Medicare Part D and all that other stuff you see
So
on
I
TV.
went to Vicky. Vicky sat down with me, and she saved me almost $400 a year just for prescription
bad.
insurance. And to me, she's wonderful for doing that.
Yeah.
But those are some of the benefits that you get. I mean, they're more than willing to help you in any way they can.
Yeah.
And
as
that's not
people have
just our
pointed out-
grandparents, that's anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone.
There's a
Yes.
great resource that you have in that Ombudsman program where people say, well, you know, getting older, what about a will? What about a living will? And all these other legal things, you know, about selling assets or not selling assets, trying to give stuff to kids and going in a nursing home. I mean, it's so
Yes.
complicated. When you look at a tax code that's this thick, and a lot of it's age triggered, like you can do this after 62, or what about my Social Security benefits? It's a maze
Yes.
of stuff.
It is, Joel. I'm also going to say that one of the great things that they do there is they have classes for us in reference to Medicaid
Yeah, yeah.
and the different levels, the different things as they change. I mean, it is pretty global. But the satisfaction personally for me, because I don't know how much time we have, but I just want to say I love it. It's so much fun. And it's a great way to ease into, you know, finding more things to do with your life after you retire when you're still
Yeah.
like, you know, you're fit. And you have a need to connect socially, so with other women and men, and then we all work with these children that love us. And they're continent,
pretty
and they're
great.
sweet, and we
That's
you
your
know, wash
nursing
their
background
hands.
talking. Well, that's true. Most of them are self-contained. They're
But
not
on
so
the other
sticky.
hand, there are those other volunteers out there that come to me and do not want to work with children. And I have to say, the Senior Companion Program is a mirror in terms of what we do for those who say the children are
Yeah.
not my interest. I really would love to work with older adults, and God love
have
them,
the
they
same
do.
passion.
So
They
they
have the
do.
exact same
We have
passion.
37, I think it is, senior companions who help
that's another
older
great
adults or
program.
adults with disabilities remain as independent as possible. So we, I think, have, like you, I love that, Disneyland, that's.
It is. It
We
is.
need a new marketing scheme to have Senior Disneyland at 339 Stevens at Missoula Aging
It really
Services.
is. You just walk in the door and there are all these choices and you just decide what you want, you know?
Yeah. And so people can drop in. I just want to tell people the phone number again because I know we got it wrong the first time. And you know it. It's 728
7682.
7682. The address is 339 Stevens. I'm very proud that I know that.
It's actually 337, I'm
Okay,
sorry,
well,
but
it's really close.
Yeah, it'll get you there.
Yeah. It's just when the road curves, you know.
Yes.
And you could go to MissoulaAgingServices.org to learn about all the programs, and specifically what we've been talking about, the Foster Grandparent Program, and the application to become a foster grandparent, if we've managed to inspire anyone to do that.
And can I put one other little plug
Oh,
in?
you certainly may.
We absolutely are looking for volunteers, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
But for all of those within our agency who help provide all the services, we also have the opportunity. In fact, Ann has just set up an adopt foster grandparent campaign to raise funds. And of course, we're always raising funds for all of our programs, but there is a separate one that's just fostergrandparent.org, I think, adoptagrandparent.org, for someone who maybe cannot volunteer but would love to help what we do and help
great,
further.
so they could make a donation to further the program to go into that stipend or the mileage reimbursement and so on.
Which is the mileage reimbursement is just a huge one for us. But yes, so there really is, here again, that full circle of how someone can help or be involved.
That's great. Well, I guess we should go. Is there anything anyone wants to add before we go?
Look into it. I don't think you'll regret looking into it. If you're wondering what to do with yourself, if you're tired of watching TV and watching everybody else go somewhere, look into the Foster Grandparent Program.
And you know, I often have people that come the first time, and maybe it takes them a few months or a year, and I tell them, just because you come and talk to me, I promise I will not put a noose around and keep you. You know, I'm there to give information, and we want people who want to be there. And so a lot of times it takes people a little bit. Even like Ann said, maybe, you know, she didn't come and talk to me, but it took her a while to be ready. But that's great. You know, we can give information and go from there.
Well, you know, I'd always worked in the hospital and I didn't know anything else. I'm a neurodiagnostic technician, and I worked hard and I worked with kids, but I never really knew anything outside of the hospital. So I didn't really have any direction to go. But I'd always thought I'd like to be a foster grandparent, I think, and that's where I decided to go.
See, that's pretty great. I was going to observe that, you know, sometimes, I mean, imagine happens to us. We get so defined by our jobs. You know, when people meet you and they say, what do you do? And so when that time is over, that job is over, it can be a crisis point for people to say, what's my identity and what's my relation to the culture at large now that my work identity is suddenly dissolved away, you know?
And it can take a year or two for the retired person. I have a friend who's a physician who's retired, and he's like, I'm running out of things here to do.
The projects he thought would sustain you for so long.
Right, and he'd like to do it. He's thinking about it. He's talked about it. And well, it's only gonna be a little longer, and he'll be involved.
And
great.
And even if he doesn't want to work with the children, then my cohort at work, Helen, who does RSVP, loves to sit down. I think we have 260 job descriptions for RSVP.
Oh, that's great.
Everything from going into the police department and helping stock cars, which I always say, but you can't run the siren just because you get to stock the car, in all seriousness. But there are just everything imaginable in our community that we are involved in. And so there truly is no end. If someone wants to be involved, we have the job for them.
Well, I can tell you, it can certainly change your world.
Yeah.
I mean, to think that you get up every morning ready to go meet a whole classroom of children is unheard of, but that's what you do. You wake up in the night, you know, thinking about how can I help that one that really has a need, and how I woke in the night trying to figure out how to 9 times 9 when I first started. So you do learn.
That's great. All right, I guess we'll go. I want to thank you all. Ann Thompson, Helen Hansen, Vicky Bostick, and Johnna Rhein for coming over and talking about Missoula Aging Services and the Foster Grandparent Program in particular.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you guys for watching this edition of What's Up Missoula. If you know of a group and you want to see them on this program, give us a call at MCAT. The number is 542-6228. For MCAT, I'm Joel Baird. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Kind of got diarrhea.